Mr. Julek stands at the entrance to the room, welcoming each student to their new class. "Morning, Rizzlers," he chuckles, going for a high five with one student, only to dab at the last second. He stands in a power pose, reminiscent of a young Arnold Schwarzenegger doing a rear glute spread as his students enter the classroom for the first time. As the class stands at their desks, they realize Mr. Julek hasn't yet entered the classroom. The teacher faces the AI-generated portrait of baby Gronk hanging at the front of the room. He bows, whispers, "Itadaki mas," and starts to walk inside. He yells out, "Oppa Gangnam Style," and starts dancing toward the front. He arrives, does one quick whip and nay-nay, fixes his clothes, cargo pants with a shirt that says, "Do you even lift?" and salutes the class. "So, you're probably wondering why one of your fellow classmates is standing up here instead of a teacher," he says while smiling to himself. "Nah, just kidding, y'all." He's careful to not say guys as this is a gendered term. "Welcome to Skibidi Science," he says, raising his voice like Dumbledore in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. He pauses for laughter from the class, but no one dares make a noise. He turns to the side. "Chat, don't clip that." "Oh, come on, everyone. I'm not from Ohio," he says boisterously. He realizes he hasn't yet introduced himself. Frantically, he starts to do so before having a great idea. "So, I'm Mr." He realizes it'd be much more personal to introduce himself to each student individually. He goes to the first desk, puts out his hand, and confidently says his name, "Mr. Julek, pleased to meet you," waiting for his first student to give their name. "Tim, but you can call me Fentmaxer." The class erupts in laughter. Mr. Julek, jealous that this joke, if you can even label it as such, received a laugh, but none of his had elicited even a chuckle, mentally makes a note of the student. This student would pay for this. He, however, maintains his composure, shaking Fentmaxer's hand. He walks to the next student. "Ah, a young Livy Dunn. I see you staring at baby Gronk up there." The student has no idea what to say. My name is Colleen," she finally says. "Oh, Colleen Ballinger. Nice apology, ha. When the student is sus," Mr. Julek responds. Mr. Julek shakes Colleen's hand in a sawing motion. He gets to the third student. "And your name, Mr. Gigachad?" Mr. Julek asks. "Angus," is the response. "Did you say Amogus? That's a bussing name far," says Mr. Julek. Amogus replies, "No, sorry, it's Angus." Mr. Julek responds L plus ratio while doing the Harlem Shake. Realizing it'll actually take up quite a lot of time to individually introduce himself to each student, he puts his hand up to high-five the students while jogging around the classroom. He receives many high fives before he arrives back at the front of the class. "A full Subway Surfer lap of the Goon Cave, classroom. That's enough cardio for the year," he says in jest. He hops onto the desk at the front. The first attempt didn't quite get him onto the desk, so he wriggles up until his guyot is firmly on the desk. "I'm Mr. Julek. As your science teacher, I'll be taking you on an incredible journey this year. So don't stop believing, hold on to that feeling." He starts to sing, before remembering that these students probably have never heard of the band journey so wouldn't appreciate the pun. "Tell that joke to your mums. They'll love it," he says, winking at the class and throwing up a front double bicep pose. "So, we'll be starting off with human biology this term," he states confidently. He turns to Fentmaxer. "What is the most sigma muscle in the body, young man?" Fentmaxer looks down and then to the student next to him. Biceps?" "Biceps, what?" Mr. Julek says playfully. "Biceps, sir?" he says, questioning whether it would have been better to drop out and get a trade. "Biceps, peer," Mr. Julek responds. "We're all students when it comes to science." He pauses before continuing. "And no, biceps are not the most sigma muscle. Quadriceps are." He jumps up from the desk, reaches down and unzips around each leg, turning his cargo pants into cargo three-quarter pants. He pulls them up over his quads and flexes. "See that teardrop? Every time I have chili sauce, one of those tears rolls down my face, haha, he says, instantly connecting with many students. He glances at the clock hanging below baby Gronk and realizes it's almost time to end the class. So, I hope you have all learned something today. Your homework for tonight is to mew for 1 hour while watching Minecraft parkour. He bows, waiting for the students to bow. He keeps glancing upward to see if any students have bowed, but realizes that they're all either staring at him in confusion or whispering to each other. Bowing is a symbol of respect in Japanese culture, he says. I would encourage all of you who want to pass this year to stop rizzing each other up and instead bow. One student bows. Excuse me, young man, Mr. Julek says. What is your name? Scott, replies the student. Mr. Julek thinks for a second. I shall call you Skibidi Cum. Thank you. I can already tell you will go far in science. The rest of you are sussy imposters that are clearly not on the Sigma male grind set. Mr. Julek says, saluting the chiseled student. You are all exquised. Mr. Julek barely gets out before laughing. The class starts to leave the room, anxious to get to their next class. But not before each of us comes up with a personalized secret handshake. I saw this on Facebook, he says. 23 minutes later, the last student has left the class after being forced to hit the gritty with Mr. Julek. Mr. Julek pats himself on the back and sighs a single word. Goated.